Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. From Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, chapter 4, text number 12, in the matter of the Amsa Guhya prayers. Tokanam Pitaro Bandhu Darsha Pakshma Shriyapati Pati Prajanam Bhikshunam Grihi Ajnana Buddhasu. Translation and purport by Divine Gesesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. As the father and mother are the friends and maintainers of their children, as the eyelid is the protector of the eye, as the husband is the maintainer and protector of a woman, as the householder is the maintainer and protector of beggars, and as the learned is the friend of the ignorant, so the king is the protector and giver of life to all his subjects. The trees are also subjects of the king. Therefore, they should be given protection. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Purport. By the supreme will of the personality of Godhead, there are various protectors and maintainers for helpless living entities. The trees are also considered prajas, subject of the king, and therefore the duty of the monarch is to protect even the trees, not to speak of others. The king is duty bound to protect the living entity in his kingdom. Thus, although the parents are directly responsible for the protection and maintenance of their children, the duty of the king is to see that all parents do their duty properly. Similarly, the king is also responsible for overseeing the other protectors mentioned in this verse. It may also be noted that the beggars who should be maintained by the householders are not professional beggars, but sannyasis and brahmanas to whom the householder should supply food and clothing. Thus in the Bhaktivedanta purport. I'll read one more verse from the 4th canto, which will be displayed. It is in connection with this only. This from 4th canto, 29th chapter, 81st verse. Talks between Narada and Pracinabarhi. Pracinabarhi Rajarshi Praja Sarga Abhirikshane Adishya Putran Agamat Tapase Kapilashrama. Translation. In the presence of his minister, the saintly king Pracinabarhi left orders for his son to protect the citizen. He then left home and went to undergo austerities in a holy place known as Kapilashrama. Purport. The word Praja Sarga is very important in this verse. When the saintly king Pracinabarhi was induced by the great sage Narada to leave home and take to devotional service of the Lord, his sons had not yet returned from their austerity in the water. However, he did not wait for their return, but simply left messages to the effect that his sons were to protect the mass of citizens. According to Viraga Acharya, such protection means organizing the citizen into specific division of the 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. It was the responsibility of the royal order to see that the citizens were following the regulative principle of the 4 varnas, namely Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and ashrama, namely Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyasi. It is very difficult to rule citizen in a kingdom without organizing this varnashrama dharma. To rule the mass of citizens in a state and keep them in a complete progressive order is not possible simply by passing laws every year in legislative assembly. The varnashrama dharma is essential in good government. One class of men, the Brahmanas, must be intelligent and Brahmanically qualified. Another class must be trained in administrative work, Kshatriya. Another in mercantile business, Vaishya. And another simple in labor, Shudra. These 4 classes of men are already there according to nature. But it is government duty to see that all 4 of these classes follow the principles of their varnas methodically. This is called abhirakshana or protection. It is significant that Maharaj Pracinabarhi was convinced of the goal of life through the instructions of Narada. He did not wait even for a moment to see his son return, but left immediately. There are many things to be done upon the return of his sons, but he simply left them a message. He knew what his prime duty was. He simply left instruction for his son and went for the purpose of spiritual advancement. This is the system of Vedic civilization. Sridham Swami informs us that Kapila Ashrama is located at the confluence of the Ganga and the Bay of Bengal, a place known now as Ganga Sagara. This place is still famous as a place of pilgrimage, and many millions of people gather there every year on the day of Makara Sankranti and take bath. It is called Kapila Ashrama because Lord Kapila is living there to perform his austerities and penances. Lord Kapila propounded the Sankhya system of philosophy. Thus in the Bhaktivedanta purport. So we are reading in this chapter, last few verses we have been reading, how the Soma, the king of the trees and plantation and vegetation, is instructing the Prachetas. So we read in the 4th canto, the second purport we read. So that is also directly is mentioning how Pracinabarhi, the king, was enlightened by Narada Muni, and he understood the goal of life, and he just left the kingdom, went to took up to the path of spirituality. So this again and again we come across in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Vedic literature, what is the ultimate goal of life. So there are many instances in the Vedic literature, we read in Bhagavatam and other Vedic literature also, how kings were very, very responsible. That's why they were called Raja Rishis. They were a king, Raja, and they were Rishis also, very saintly, very godly. They are following the godly principles. So here we find how, just like Yudhishthira Maharaj, after the Kurukshetra war, he was so disturbed because so many people died. We know in the Mahabharata war, Prabhupada mentions, 64 crores of people died in just 18 days. And lot of animals died, elephants, horses. So he was very disturbed. So, because he was thinking, for getting this power, for bringing me to this kingdom, so many people have been massacred. Because they were saintly, they were devotee of Lord. They didn't want to hurt anybody. They didn't want to kill anybody unnecessarily. That is the Vedic system. See, today you see, killing is going on a rampant. And why? Because these Kshatriyas, they were guided by Brahmanas. And Brahmanas, they will just guide them how to conduct their life, how to carry on the administration. And the kings used to follow these instructions. Today, unfortunately, we don't have Brahmanas in the society. Bhagavatam compares Brahmanas to be the head of our body. It is very important. Kshatriyas are compared to arms. Vaishyas are compared to belly. And Shudras are compared to our leg. So in our body, all these parts are important. But comparatively, if we see, head is very important. If head is chopped off, cut off, one is finished actually, is dead and gone. Whereas if you don't have arms, legs, you can still manage, correct? So Brahmanas are very important in the society. So when Yudhishthira Maharaj, he went to Bhishma Deva and he inquired from him. So in the first canto, 9th chapter, Bhishma is passing away and that Krishna as instructions are there, Bhishma's instructions are there. And so the important point which is brought out in these verses is the kings were very, very responsible for all the prajas, all the subjects. Today we have law for protection of the human being actually. That not everybody is getting protected. Nobody is bothered about other species. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham bija pradapita. I am the seed giving father. Sarva yonesh kaunteya. In all species of life, I am the seed giving father. He is the supreme father. So the king or the head of the state duty is to take care of all the species. So unfortunately in Kali Yuga, we all know, Shastra also mentioned, Kalo Shudra Sambhava. We are all Shudras only. There is no Brahmana, there is no qualified Brahmana, there is no Kshatriya. There is, Prabhupada mentioned, there is some sort of business activity, Vaishyas are there, and predominantly all are Shudras. Shudras means who work for other three classes. Krishna elaborately explains in the Bhagavad Gita also. So this is the point. Praja means one who has taken birth in that country. Just like we are all protected, there are some laws, human being. But what about the animals, trees, plants? Nobody is taking care of. This verse, we have been reading last few verses, how Prachetas, they came out of the water after meditation for many years. And when they saw there was no king was ruling, because his father also went for spiritual emancipation. So, a lot of trees and plants are growing. So they wanted to kill. With that tapas shakti we saw how they were igniting, fire was coming from their mouth. And they were trying to kill these plants, trees. That was the time the Soma is trying to preach. So everywhere you see in the Bhagavatam, this other verse I read, so Pracinabarhi was preached by Narada Muni. Narada Muni has many, many exalted disciples, we all know. Prahlad Maharaj was there, Dhruva Maharaj was there, a hunter was there, Mrigari. So like that. And he goes on, preaches to king, just like we have our preaching department, folk department, we go and preach, correct? All our life member preachers, they also preach. So when Narada Muni or a pure devotee preach, they make thousands of disciples in one shot actually. They are so effective. We read in the Bhagavatam again. So these Prachetas, Pracinabarhi was totally convinced about the goal of life. The purport Prabhupada elaborately mentioned that he didn't even wait for the sun to return, because sun has also gone for austerity. Today, where is father practicing spiritual life? And he is not advising his son, obviously, to practice spiritual life. In fact, when somebody comes to spiritual life, like when we go and meet people, tell about Krishna consciousness, some youngsters are there, we try to bring them. Parents are a little worried actually. But here you see, before the son came, it is mentioned, Prabhupada writes here, however, he did not wait for the return, but simply left messages to the effect that his son were to protect the mass of citizens. Those days no technology was also there, correct? You don't have mobile or something, you can send WhatsApp or some messages and go. No. He just went off. And that's it. So, then Prabhupada writes in that purport also, quoting from Viraga Acharya, such protection means organizing the citizen into specific division of 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. The varna ashrama is very, very scientific actually. Why? Because Krishna only created this varna ashrama, chatur varnyam, maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. According to guna and karma, actually we fall in one of these varnas, one of these ashramas. So it's a standard. So Prabhupada mentioned that it is designed in such a way Ultimately, Varnashrama's goal is to please Vishnu or Krishna. So everybody has got different nature. So Brahmana, they are interested in Brahma Jnana, transcendental knowledge. So they will be trained in that field. Just like during the Vedic time, a Gurukula was there. At the age of 5, the children were sent to Gurukula under the guidance of a spiritual master. And the spiritual master can figure out what his aptitude is. Accordingly, he is placed in the service. So it is not by birth. That's why Krishna says, Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma. Guna means qualities and karma means activities. Not by janma. Janma, that is what spoiled the old, it's something they call as caste system. It's not a caste. We can be born in a Brahmana family, but if you don't cultivate the Brahminical qualification, we are not to be called as a Brahmana. We are Brahma Bandhu actually. So all these informations are there in the scripture. So here, just like today, any common man, we feel for that. Just like cutting of trees, correct? The same topic is there here. So cutting of tree means so many people protest, correct? Yeah, because they see, just like Bangalore, it is actually called as a garden city. Maybe 30, 40 years before and all, full of trees only everywhere. You see, only few part of Bangalore today, you can see lot of trees. Otherwise, it's nothing but a concrete jungle actually. All the trees are cut down and big skyscraper buildings are coming and people are working like cow and asses actually. They are working hard like donkeys. Why? Because you want to buy a flat. It's not easy. So you have to work hard, work more hours, work overtime. And at the end of the day, what do you want? You want to sleep in a small place only, correct? But nobody is there to guide all these things. So these things are going on. But Yudhishthira Maharaj also, he was concerned about so much massacre. He went to Bhishma Deva to inquire about how we can get rid of all these things. So, when we are in a dilemma, when we are bewildered, when we are puzzled, actually we should approach a guru or a bona fide spiritual master. Because we cannot solve on our own. We can speculate and do something, that's okay. But that is not going to solve our problem. Tadvignartam saguru eva abhigachet. Abhigachet means you must approach a guru. Otherwise you cannot solve the problems of your life automatically. Now, generally we have some problems, some bewilderment. Just like we go to our friend, we have a very close senior, some friend is there, or some relative, we try to get solved. But they can't give the permanent solution actually. Some temporary hodgepodge solution they can give. That's all. So, when Yudhishthira Maharaj was also bewildered, puzzled like this, he decided to take instruction on the subject matter of occupational duty from Bhishma. Bhishma Deva, we all know, he was lying on the bed of arrows and he had a boon, unless he desires he will not die. And after the Kurukshetra war, he was lying on the bed of arrow. Yudhishthira Maharaj goes there. Lord Krishna is also there. You just see. And we all know how Bhishma Dev left his body having darshan of Lord Sri Krishna. That was his desire. So he achieved a perfection. He was a Mahajana. Mahajana ena gatasya pantaha. So, like this, if you see, in the Vedic times, the kings, they were very powerful. Very even Prabhupada mentioned, even Kshatriyas, they were very powerful. Any war is there, they all go and stand up in the war, correct? It's not like today, this war is happening now between which country now? Russia and Ukraine. You see, all the chief bosses and all, they will be in the safety chamber actually. They will be just seeing computer, they direction. That is also required. But they don't go in the front. The poor soldiers, all these things, they go and they get killed. And all these chief, they will sit in the safety chamber. They will have nice butter and cheese, Prabhupada says in one lecture. So it is like that. But those days it was not like that. Mahabharata war is a typical example. In 18 days everything is finished. Both the parties were lined up. Kauravas and Pandavas. And that too very disciplined actually. They start the war maybe by 8 o'clock or something in the morning. And by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock it is finished. And they are friends. Correct? We hear from the Vedic scriptures. Today you see what all things are happening. All the civilians, all the children, women, helpless people are getting killed. Why? Because due to our own, looking for our own gratification, our own sense enjoyment. We want to have more power. Aggrandizement, it is called. So they are not satisfied with what they have. They want more and more. Just against the Vedic principle. So, then Prabhupada says in another place, because king is protector and maintainer, actually king is offered the designation of Naradeva. He's like God in the human form. But king never thinks that I am God, I can do anything. That is one of the reasons why this this kingship, what is this? It all got spoiled. And because of it all they became dictator. They wanted more and more power, more and more villages. They want to control more people. And that's why this monarchy, dictatorship went off. And then democracy has come. So democracy is again something, people who are electing the king or the chief administrative head, president or prime minister, who are electing them, they are not qualified. They don't know whom to elect. They just go and put some vote and somebody comes to power. And he is there for a few years and he will try to pocket more money and make his kingdom more and more. This is repeatedly going on in the history. Today also we can see all this thing. Every 4 years, 5 years, election happen. One party wins, another party loses. See? So they are not concerned about the praja, they are not concerned about the human being, they are not concerned about the animal. So even they safely say, animals don't have soul. This is also Prabhupada in many places he mentions. How they can say all these things? We have to go according to the Shastras. Otherwise it's just a speculation. So animals, trees, plants, all this living entity, 84 lakh species, all have soul. But in the human form of life, our soul is evolved and we are developed more, we are more conscious. That doesn't mean that the lower species we can harm. We don't have any right to kill. We can't even kill an ant. If somebody engages in these things, they will be implicated to law of karma. Nobody knows what is law of karma. So like that. So then Prabhupada saying, so king is honored because he is God in the human form. Actually, Krishna is the maintainer. Krishna is the real protector. Eko Bhaunam Yovidadhati Kaman. We are all living beings, God is also living being. But He is the one who is supplying all the necessities of all the living beings in this universe. Even the animals, low species, who is supplying food? Only Krishna is supplying all this food. So, these kings, mentioned here, they were all conscious of that. So, in the Ishopanishad also it is said, Isha Vasham Idam Sarvam. Everything is controlled and owned by Krishna. But certain person, according to a karma, according to a desire, they are given some post. But you should not use that post for your own enjoyment or your extended family or community or whatever it is. No, we should take care of all the living entities. That is the correct understanding. Because in this material world, it designed in such a way. Padam padam yadvipadam natesham, Bhagavatam says. Because when again and again, at every step there is danger. Danger means we are confused. What to do now? Correct? Then how to solve this? Therefore, when we are confused, we have to take instruction from the scriptures, from the Vedic literatures, from the Guru, Sadhu and Shastras. That is the way. See, Arjuna also was in a dilemma, whether to fight or not to fight, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. So he surrendered to Krishna. Sishyaste tu am sadhimantam prapannam. Because they were cousins, they were friends, they were talking in friendly terms, solution is not coming up. So he said, I accept you as my Guru, I am your Sishya, please instruct me decisively what I should do. So, like that if you see in this world, we are all, every step there is danger, we are looking for some solution, so we should go to the Vedic literature. So Vedic literature is full of direction about how a human being should conduct his life, how a king should lead the life. All the instructions are there. So today nobody is bothered about all these things. That's why it is full of chaos and confusion everywhere. So Prabhupada says in a place that, so without Krishna consciousness, the philosophy of equality, universal brotherhood is artificial and not possible. Just like we have this United Nations organization. So many countries are there, so many flags are increasing. But they are not able to solve the problem actually. Because you cannot solve this problem by your material means, like that this Prabhupada in this purport he writes, to rule the mass of citizens in a state and keep them in a complete progressive order is not simply by passing laws every year in legislative assembly. So many laws are made and according to the convenience they even modified the law. If there is some loophole, they'll again modify the law. They go on doing all this thing. Some material adjustment. That will not take care of a progressive, complete progressive order is not possible. Because human life is meant for advancing in spiritual life. That's why this verse says, in the presence of his minister, the saintly king Pracinabarhi left orders for his son to protect the citizen. He then left home to undergo austerity in a holy place of Kapila Ashrama. He did not wait even for a moment to see his son return, but left immediately. There are many things to be done upon the return of his son, but he simply left them a message. He knew what his prime duty was. See, we were also lost in this world. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Hare Krishna movement, somehow we came in touch. At least we know what is the prime duty, what is the ultimate goal of life. Theoretically we know at least, to some extent. So we are all very, very fortunate. So if we practice this seriously, then we can achieve the highest benefit which is afforded in the human form of life. Because unless we perfect our life in this world, we have to again come to this world. And this world is dukhalem ashashrutam, full of miseries. This all of us have experienced. So to get away from this, only solution is we have to become God conscious, Krishna consciousness. So, like that if you see, and Prabhupada in today's purport, at the end he mentioned the interesting thing. The word is talking of protection, correct? So, as the householder is the maintainer and protector of beggars. So Prabhupada in the purport, in the last sentence he writes, it may also be noted that the beggars who should be maintained by the householders are not professional beggars. Because you see, today, a lot of beggars are there. They are actually, there is some kingpin in there, there is some boss there, there is one contract, all these are contract, you can say, these beggars. So he makes a lot of money and he puts all these beggars in different points. Some of you would have seen this. They in the morning they come and drop these people in some vehicle or something like that, and evening they'll pick up and they'll drop them. So, but here that is professional beggar. They're begging as a profession. Whereas we come across in the Bhagavatam, in the Vedic literature, like Sukadeva Goswami used to visit the house of the grahasthas, householders. And he used to be there for only few minutes till the milking of cows. That is actually again the Vedic time. Only few minutes, correct? So he is not going for anything, but he is going them to give spiritual knowledge, transcendental knowledge. Otherwise, householders, grahastha, if they are not in grahastha ashrama, people will be lost. If they are not into spiritual activity, if they are not into Krishna consciousness, they will be lost. So, out of compassion, we come across, in many places it is mentioned, like Sukadeva Goswami, he goes, he is there for few minutes, he will enlighten these family members. So, like that, you see here, kings, they were very powerful, the Brahmanas, they were very powerful, just like Bhagavatam. The Brahmana's son Shringi cursed Parikshit Maharaj to die within 7 days. He was just 12-year-old boy. His curse was so powerful. Actually, Bhagavatam also explains, Parikshit Maharaj is so powerful, he could have easily countered, but he took it as a mercy of the Lord. Correct? He got these blessings of the Lord, he took it like that. Because he could ascertain what is the ultimate goal of life. That's why we have Bhagavatam today. So you see, Brahmanas, so powerful. In fact, Shringi's father felt so bad. Hurry, your curse, the king, what is this you have done? So like this. So, this is the Vedic system. Everyone is taken care of. Nobody is neglected. And when they go, these sages, they go and preach. They are given something, milk or something, with that they are satisfied, that's all. They don't work hard day and night for maintenance of the body. No. As a dutifully what is required, they will do. That's all. So, it's a very nice, we will be reading further. So, here we see how this Pracinabarhi was converted by Narada Muni, and here we see in this today's verse how the king Soma is instructing the Prachetas, they should not get angry and burn the trees, because trees are meant for many living entities, trees, plantation. If you burn all these things, what will happen? What will happen to their food? So these are all elaborate arrangement of the Lord. So we get this perspective from this Bhagavatam verses. I'll stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.